Well, I can say two things right now off the top before we get started talking about Raw. Number one, it was just announced about 20 minutes ago that Alien vs. Predator is coming to Halloween Horror Nights on both coasts. And two, 3-hour Raws are becoming extremely tedious. Yeah, it's kind of a chore to get through sometimes. And I don't understand somewhat why certain things happen. We're on the build to SummerSlam. We're 2 weeks away from the pay-per-view live from Los Angeles, California. So, of course, we start off the show with the Authority coming to the ring. And I don't mean Triple H and Stephanie, I would have said that. No, it's Triple H, it's Stephanie, it's Seth Rollins, it's Kane, and it's Randy Orton. They all come to the ring, and Triple H says, you know what, he's not the guy that pats himself on the back rather easily, but this could be the very best SummerSlam card of all time. Triple H going into Tony Schiavone mode here. He puts over the matches, including the ones that are in the ring, and basically he ends with the same phrase every single time. So much that every time you hear this phrase, and no, I'm not talking about best for business, Triple H has a new phrase he wants to drive into your head, and that is $9.99. More specifically, the phrase, you can catch it live on the WWE Network for only $9.99. So yes, this was a running gag throughout the entire broadcast. Yeah, it was quite annoying. Kind of like a Seth MacFarlane Family Guy joke. It starts out funny, and then it's overused, and by the time you overuse it so much, people just don't care anymore. But if you use it after that, it can become funny again, but also it can become tedious just that quickly. That's just how it works sometimes with jokes. So tonight there's going to be a Beat the Clock Challenge match. And it's going to be Dean Ambrose in one match, and he's facing off against Alberto Del Rio, which is a rematch from Main Event that I did not get a chance to watch. And the other match is Seth Rollins against Rob Van Dam, or at least that's what we thought at the time. And, of course, the winner of the Beat the Clock Challenge will get to choose the stipulation for Ambrose and Rollins at SummerSlam. There's also going to be a contract signing with Brie and Stephanie, and that's going to be later on. And Stephanie says Brie, if she gets out of line, she'll end up in the hospital next to Daniel Bryan. Triple H puts over Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, also coming to the event as well, and we'll talk about that later on. Randy Orton grabs the mic and says he guarantees the decimation of Roman Reigns, and he said that last week was just simply a taste. At SummerSlam, he gets cut off. I'm getting ready to say at SummerSlam he gets cut off, not at SummerSlam he gets cut off. Literally, he got cut off and he was getting ready to say at SummerSlam. Here comes Roman Reigns. Of course, he comes to the crowd. He says that Randy Orton claimed the Viper was back. Well, Reigns took everything he had, and basically he's still standing right here and now. He's going to beat the Viper's ass regardless if Hunter wants him to or not, and he's going to do it tonight in the ring for free. So unlike Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns will fight for free. So yes, that is set up, and Triple H is like, no, you know what? This isn't going to happen. You're going to get to face each other, but not until SummerSlam. Tonight you're going to have a match against a demon, and I was like, oh great. And sure enough, he faces off against Kane in a last man standing match, and that starts now, or more specifically, starts after the commercial break. Isn't it? Weird weather here. So, we pick it up midway through the match. It is Roman Reigns against Kane in a last man standing match. And Reigns is draped across the ropes. Kane with an uppercut. And then Roman ends up sending Kane headfirst into a chair that's set up in the corner. Because Kane tried to do it and Roman switched momentum and sent him face first into the chair. Both men are down and both men get up at 8. 3 right hands, whip in reverse, ducks the clothesline. And Roman with the leaping clothesline to Kane. And he charges him with a clothesline in the corner. A right hand knocks him over the bottom rope, of course, and he's draped precariously for what? You know exactly what it's going to be, and that's going to be the leaping dropkick to the side of the head. Kane's momentum carries him to the floor, and he has a right hand on Roman, and Kane ends up getting sent into the steps by Roman Reigns in the entranceway. Like, before I started writing, they set the steps up on their end in the middle of the entranceway, so you knew something was going to happen. Of course, setting up your own demise, it happens every single time. I've done it before. So he gets up at 6, and he sends him into the barricade. Roman gets up, goes under the ring, and pulls a table and puts it in the ring. Kane with the double axe handle to the back of the head, tosses him in, and Kane sets up the table. He charges in, Reigns with a Samoan drop to counter, and the Superman punch is countered into the Goozle and a chokeslam right to the table. I called that spot seconds before it happened because it was so obvious. Reigns gets up at 9. So Kane pounds away. He grabs the chair as he dislodges it from in between the ropes. He lays it on the canvas, and he sets up. He goes for the tombstone. It gets countered. Reigns lands on his feet. Boot in, DDT Kane right on the chair. Hits the Superman punch. No ref to count. I think Kyoto fell asleep. Yeah. But what does end up happening is Reigns takes it back in with a spear attempt, which is countered to a Goozle. Kane lifts him up for the choke slam. Reigns lands on his feet, ducks Kane's clothesline and spear, and Kane cannot answer the 10 count. I've seen Reigns hit a lot more devastating spears. This looked like kind of just like a rebound spear, like really wasn't much to it. Now granted, I've never been speared by Roman Reigns before, but still, it looked like it shouldn't have been enough to put Kane down. I mean, the guy's been a little on fire, come on. So, we get the video that we were promised, and given the fact that John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman are all not in the building tonight, they have to improvise, and they improvise with a 7-minute video package. So basically, Brock and Cena are talking back and forth, and according to Paul Heyman, and somewhat I do believe him, this was not scripted at all. This was complete Brock being Brock, and Cena getting the storyline across by telling the truth. So first thing Brock does is he goes and channels his inner Scott Steiner by saying he's an ass-kicking son of a bitch. Of course, the son of a bitch is bleeped because we're on PG era now. He has no respect for anyone but himself. He just simply wants to hurt people. He's like Dr. David Schultz here. And he wants to be the champion again. That's the reason he came back. He enjoys hurting people and inflicting as much pain as humanly possible. He's a conqueror. He beat The Undertaker's streak. But he knew that he would. Why did anybody think that he wouldn't beat The Undertaker? I'm sure Will was about ready to put something through his television when he was hearing this. Why wouldn't Brock Lesnar beat John Cena at SummerSlam? So then we get Cena's side. Cena says he's fortunate that he's gone as far as he has, and he's done what he has in the business, being a 15-time World Heavyweight Champion. But why is he so successful? Because he simply looks forward. He never looks behind him, and the forward path leads him to a collision course with Brock Lesnar. He's going to be the most difficult opponent of Cena's career, but he knows what he's in for. He knows that it's going to be a fight from bell to bell, and he's prepared. We go back to Brock, and Brock says he's going to tear Cena limb from limb. He says it's going to be ugly, and basically warns everyone that it's going to be rather gruesome. Cena retorts and says he knows exactly what it takes to beat Brock Lesnar because he did it at Extreme Rules in 2012. And a cheap plug, it is actually was on the WWE Network right after Raw. I say was because obviously this is now Tuesday. So Cena says come get some 4 times, and that's the end. He says he wants to be the one who beat the one. I like that line, by the way. Lesnar came back to be the champion, and if Brock didn't go away, then John Cena wouldn't be as far as he has been. Obviously, he wouldn't go as far as he has. And Cena calls Brock a mercenary for hire. He does everything for the money. Truth in advertising. Cena has dedicated his life to the WWE for 12 years, and every night, day in and day out, he is going to step in the ring for the company. He is not only going to win, but he is going to win decisively. Lesnar says he's going to rip Cena apart and leave him in a pile of, and I quote, blood, urine, and vomit. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting words from Lesnar. This is the way you don't let Lesnar talk. Okay, what this did right here, without having any physical altercation whatsoever, you basically just sold this match for everyone. This was a good video package, and it worked really well. Now, I know a lot of people that I was reading on Twitter did say that they weren't a fan of it, and I can understand why they weren't, but they seemingly talked you out in the building, even though I don't think Lesnar should ever talk again. As a matter of fact, I think Paul Heyman should be his mouthpiece from now on, and don't let Lesnar ever talk again. But the beauty part is, no matter what, this was not scripted, supposedly, and it came from the heart. So yeah, it's really interesting to see where we went with this. So we hear very familiar music. Very familiar music. And the first thing that pops in my mind, we hear the Oklahoma Sooners theme. And I'm expecting Damian Sandow dressed as Jim Ross. Because, why not? We're in Texas, so sure. We get Damian Sandow, and he is wearing a Sooners jersey, but he's coming out as not Jim Ross, thankfully. They didn't go that direction. But, of course, he's mocking the hook 'em horns and the fact of, like, this apparent rivalry that Oklahoma has with Texas. I don't know anything about this because I don't know jack about sports. And he says there's going to be no hook 'em of horns. And right here I was thinking, wait a minute, we're in Texas. He's about to get destroyed. Who's his opponent? And yep, sure enough, Justin Roberts introduces him, and Mark Henry makes his return to the ring. So Sandow jumps him at the bell, and basically he gets manhandled, but no effect to Mark Henry, of course. And Henry pretty much swats him off, clothesline Sandow, world's strongest slam, leaves him laying. JBL on commentary during this match was making fun of JR something fierce, honestly. And, yeah, I don't understand that. Either JBL legitimately hates Jim Ross, which is possible, but I don't know. Or this was fed to him by someone in his earpiece. Or in his headset, in this case. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why they did this, but I guess, okay. And, of course, the $9.99 gets brought up again. So, we get a vignette in the back with they're promoting the release of Oculus on DVD. Of course, it is a WWE Films presentation. And it's not as bad as people think it is. Certainly better than most of the WWE films. But they're doing this, and the Rosebuds show up, and Adam Rose is standing in front of the Oculus mirror. And of course, they run the steez talking about how Oculus mirror works. When you look into this, you can see the ugly side of you. So, Adam Rose swears he's going to look into this mirror, and the Rosebud's like, no, don't do that, don't do it. And he says, well, I think I'm going to see a big limb in there. And, you know, for a second, I know this was never going to happen, but it made me giggle if it did. And I'm sure a lot of you know where I'm going with this. Adam Rose looks in the mirror, and what does he see? Leo Kruger. Yeah, I know it would have been a little ha-ha for people that pay attention, and it would have been lost on at least 80% of the crowd, but it made me laugh, and sometimes that's all that matters. But no, when he does look and see himself, he sees himself in a business suit, carrying a briefcase with glasses on his head, and a successful man. So Rose is like, no, I see a huge lemon, so this is not cool. And of course, you know, you can't destroy the mirror, so without repercussion. So that's the end of that. Well, we get our first Beat the Clock Challenge match. And had I known this was going to go as long as it did, I probably would have started writing a lot later. As a matter of fact, usually I do the BTLA, the Back to Live Action, and then I go from the commercial break on. Beat the Clock is an interesting concept because I don't know exactly how long the match is going to go. Same way that works with a 2 out of 3 falls match. You never know when that first fall is going to come. And then usually you can pick it up from there. Same with a Beat the Clock challenge. You never know how long the match is going to go. So we get this match, and like I said, I went through pretty much the whole thing. So Ambrose taking on Alberto Del Rio, the rematch from Main Event. So we pick it up, and towards the beginning of the match, actually, Del Rio sends Ambrose into the barricade. Oh, by the way, I'll throw you guys out a real legitimate commentary on this match. When this match started, I got a phone call from AJ, changing plans for the week pertaining to certain things. And during the call with AJ, I was taking notes. So I am multitasker extraordinaire, Sir Owen Disney now. So yay, that's me. So Del Rio sends Ambrose into the barricade, tosses him in, goes up top. He crowns him. Makes a cover, 1-2, Ambrose kicks out, locks on a chin lock, and of course, it gets countered, and a knee lift by Del Rio, and whip in, duck, small package by Ambrose, 1-2, and a kick out. Del Rio clotheslines Ambrose, and stiff kicks him in the back of the head, chokes him on the middle rope, and he tosses him shoulder first on the ring post, playing up the Brian Pillman aspect of his gimmick right now. He yanks his arm repeatedly, tries to pull it out of the socket, and pulls Ambrose, by his arm mind you, to the floor. So Ambrose reverses and sends Del Rio into the barricade when Del Rio tries to do it to him. And he nails a snap suplex on the floor, tosses him in, 1-2, Del Rio kicks out. Locks on a modified Fujiwara armbar, and then when he gets back up, a headbutt out by Del Rio, and he charges in, he misses, goes shoulder first into the post. Of course, that adds more insult to injury than anything else, because obviously he's got an injured shoulder, and we're playing that up. So Del Rio puts him in a cross arm breaker in the ropes, and breaks right before 5. He goes up top, he dives off, Ambrose with a gut shot, and of course, it usually doubles over the guy, but Del Rio just goes down. So it's interesting there. So 3 right hands, ducks the clothesline, comes off the ropes, 2 flying forearms by Ambrose, whip in, reverse, and the crossbody into the punches. On the mat by Ambrose, and the elbow face wash in the corner, whips him in, reversed by Del Rio, he gets the elbow up, and Ambrose goes for the Tornado DDT, he swings, he gets thrown off, and out of nowhere, GSK from Del Rio, and basically knocks him to the floor. So we come back to live action, and back to live action at 10:22 on the clock. So this match has already gone over 10 minutes. So the armbar is applied, kind of a key lock style armbar there. Key lock submission basically is what it was. Ambrose punches his way out and gets caught with a boot and a DDT from Del Rio. We've noticed this as a pattern lately. The boot and DDT is back in fashion again, apparently, in WWE. So he puts his head against the ring post and he tries to kick his head off, and of course he misses and the kick doesn't connect. So Ambrose hits the tope, and of course, this not only sends Del Rio into the barricade, it knocks him halfway over the barricade and basically into the front row. So Ambrose tosses him in, goes up top, a very loose missile drop kick. It usually connects, but he barely nicked him there, pretty much, from my vantage point. Charges in with a shoulder block, with a bad shoulder, of course, proving that he doesn't care about his own body to inflict as much pain as possible on his opponents. Makes sense to the fact that he is a kind of a lunatic when it comes to his gimmick. Whip in, reverse, charges in, and Del Rio goes for the step-up enziguri kick. Ambrose ducks out of the way. Finally hits the Tornado DDT, 1-2, and no. Del Rio kicks out. So he gets shoved into the corner, and he rips off the tape. Del Rio is going to try to injure the arm permanently. So he puts him on the buckle backwards, and he sets up for the inverted superplex that he usually only uses against Dolph Ziggler. And he hits the inverted superplex off the top, 1-2, and Ambrose again kicks out. So he goes for the cross arm breaker, and he gets countered in a roll-up by Ambrose, 1-2, and a kick out. The boot in knocks him back into the ropes, and of course we know what that means. Jawbreaker lariat time, 1-2, and a kick out. Sets up Dirty Deeds, gets countered, and Divorce Court by Del Rio puts him back in control. He locks on the cross arm breaker in the ropes, and breaks before 5. He sets up for the finish, goes to lock on the cross arm breaker, it gets countered, Dirty Deeds connects this time, 1-2-3, and at 15 minutes and 41 seconds, Dean Ambrose wins the Beat the Clock challenge. Really good match between these two. Really awesome match between these two. I'm glad they gave them 15 minutes. I wish they were to give another match on this show 15 minutes. 2 of them specifically, but I understand why they didn't. As a matter of fact, I'm really upset about both of them, to be honest. Speaking of being upset, Rusev comes out for the next match, and we don't know his opponent. We go to commercial break. We come back to commercial break, and apparently on the WWE app, he beat Sin Cara like a dog. Like, destroyed him. Sin Cara goes for the 180 flying body press off the middle rope, the Quebrada style, and got caught, Muay Thai kick, accolade, done the party. So, of course, this is done, then the flag comes down. And obviously, this is to set up more heat towards the Swagger Rusev match at SummerSlam. The flag match I've been predicting for months, which is finally coming to fruition. So Lana wants to sing happy birthday to Barack Obama in Russian. And anyone that knows anything about Lana's past, or in this case her present, they would know that she was in a little movie starring my girl Anna Kendrick called Pitch Perfect. And she may have just been like a bit part in the movie, but she can actually sing. But Lana, as a gimmick, butchered this song blatantly for heat, and it worked awesomely. And this brought out Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter finally, and they're basically saying, you know what, Lana, shut up. We're tired of hearing about Vladimir Putin. We're tired of hearing about Mother Russia, and we're sick and tired of hearing about Rusev Crush. Once again, every time I think about Rusev Crush, the first thing that comes to mind is, my God, I want an orange soda, and I want one now. Swagger is standing there, of course, as always, and Zeb delivers the promo, like he does so well, and he says, you have no idea who you're really fighting at SummerSlam. You're fighting every real American. And said, basically, that after the match is over, the last thing you will see is Old Glory waving free, and the only thing crushed at SummerSlam will be Lana's ego. We the people. So yeah, that's the end of that. So Rusev goes to leave. Swagger gets lured in a false sense of security, of course, and gets jabbed with the Russian flag and beaten down with the Russian flag and clotheslined over the top by the Russian flag. And then Rusev backs Zeb into a corner. And Zeb is threatening to hit Rusev with the American flag. And obviously this goes nowhere because they back him into a corner. And Lana mockingly says, we the people. So yeah, this is building really well. I like the mid-card feuds right now. I think they're working really well. SummerSlam is a lot of rematches, but I honestly think they're going to do a lot with them, and I think it'll work really well. One of the first things of the night I'm not really happy about is the next match, and that's Dolph Ziggler against Cesaro. If anything, this match should have gone at least 5 minutes, and I was thinking to myself, normally when I do these, I wait like 3 minutes like for a short match, 5 minutes for a long match. I wait for a commercial break for a match I think it's going to go to the distance. And if it's a pay-per-view, I usually wait depending on how long I think the match is going to go. I was thinking, okay, I'll start writing at 3 minutes and we'll be good to go. And for that 3 minutes, Cesaro basically just ragdolled Dolph and controlled him for the entire duration of the match. Until Dolph went for a small package, he got countered and picked up in the air in a hanging vertical suplex. Dolph landed on his feet, hit the zigzag, and got the 3 count. That was the end. I really wish this match would have gone longer. And of course, The Miz was on commentary. Remember the thing I talked about with The Miz losing the non-title match to Zack Ryder? I think that happens on SmackDown. I just think that happens on SmackDown this week, or they could hold it off till Raw next week. Either way, it could work. I think it actually makes sense to do it on Raw next week, honestly. Which apparently is going to be Hulk Hogan's birthday show, and rumor has it, it may be a potential reunion of the New World Order, if you believe anything that has been said on the internet today. So, yeah, that was a waste, and I really wish this match could have gone a lot longer. Paige is in the back, and she is basically wishing AJ getting well very soon, a speedy recovery. And she admires her because AJ is her idol, and she's going to be very happy to face her idol in the ring at SummerSlam. She says she misses her. I love Paige right now. I think this gimmick is amazing, and I think they're going to tear it up at SummerSlam. It's officially made, not a stipulation match, which I'm surprised. They may save that to Night of Champions. What I think they have like a really good back and forth match. And the reason why I don't think that they're doing a stip match is because I think that Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins is going to end up being no holds barred. And I think that's the right gimmick to do. And then, of course, you do the rematch at Night of Champions, a ladder match with the briefcase on the line. That's what I think they're probably going to do. I could be wrong, but who knows. So, of course, Goldust and Stardust have been doing a lot of vignettes lately on Raw and SmackDown. And this week they are actually in action in the feud that never ends against Ryback. So yeah, this match was as short as it normally is. Axel with a chinlock on Goldust. Goldust punches his way out, boot in the midsection, tagging to Stardust. He comes in, ducks the clothesline, hooking clothesline, like a spinning headbutt off the ropes. A boot in, drop down uppercut. Still shades of Cody there. Hip toss and a cartwheel into a front-seated drop kick. Hits the DDT, and Ryback makes the save. Ryback charges, and he hits the post, courtesy of Goldust. The back trip is set up, and the inverted STO, the snap inverted STO, the dark matter does connect in 1, 2, 3. Goldust and Stardust win. And like I said, they have to win if they're going to get in the supposed four-way for the WWE Tag Team Championships at SummerSlam. Obviously, conspicuous by their absence were said WWE World Tag Team Champions Jimmy and Jey Uso, which I'm pretty sure they're going to be on SmackDown, and they'll continue that. And I think next week on Raw, we'll get our announcement of the potential of tag team matches. Another thing that was kind of reprehensible in this case, but I'll talk about that in a second because I completely missed something. Kane shows up and gives his mask and his hair, because of course Glenn Jacobs is bald, or he's got like a little bit on his head now, but he was bald, and he gives it to Stephanie and bombs out. So 3 things. Number 1, corporate Kane returns. Okay. 2, Kane's actually going to retire soon, which wouldn't surprise me. Or 3, this might be a swerve and it could be leading to something else. So yeah, false sense of security. So that's the end of that. So could we see the end of the big red monster, the Demon Kane? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. We get our next match, which is the ongoing battle of Chris Jericho to have to worry about no one at ringside for his match against Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam, and that is Chris Jericho against Luke Harper. The match against Eric Rowan went about 14 minutes, and this match went a lot less, and it sucked because I would have rather seen this match go a lot longer because Harper's awesome in the ring. Had a great sit-out powerbomb in the match, and it worked really well. I will say one thing about Rowan's match on SmackDown. I did talk about it yesterday. The spinning heel kick out of nowhere looked awesome. So, Harper ends up getting locked in the walls of Jericho. Lights go out, lights come back on. Bray Wyatt's on the bottom of the ramp and distracting Jericho. But this allows Eric Rowan to hit the ring. He eats the code breaker. Ref doesn't call for the DQ apparently there. But then what happens is Harper goes for a short arm clothesline. It gets ducked. Jericho hits the code breaker. Bray hits the ring and basically uses the old Samoan spike, the old Umaga Samoan spike, and jabs his thumb into the throat of Jericho. And Sister Abigail, that's the end. So yeah, that was the end of that. Later on in the show, Bray Wyatt cut an awesome promo like he always does, and I have that here for you now. It says, why? That is a question that has plagued me my entire life. Why does a man do what he does? Why does a man say what he says? Why don't the sheep run from the hungry wolf? Why am I different? At SummerSlam, I enter the threshold of battle without my brothers, but I am never alone. Her hand guides me and the world follows behind. You can ask whatever you want, but I have to ask you this, Chris. How can you save what is already dead? How can you forget what is already burned in your memory? What will be left of you, Chris? What am I? Well, I'm Bray Wyatt, and I'm the nightmare at the end of your dream. Beyond time, I stand. And of course, he sings he's got the whole world in his hands with his hands clasped, and that's the end of that. So yeah. Not sure what this is doing. What I think will happen now is Bray's going to win without any interference at SummerSlam, and that's the right answer. And then he wins decisively at Night of Champions, and that ends the feud, and Jericho goes away for a little bit. I think that Bray will probably injure Jericho in the match at Night of Champions. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think will give me a reason why Jericho will be off television. So we get our next match, and I don't even want to talk about this. Rematch from SmackDown, Diego Fandango. Diego comes out with the gorgeous Summer Rae and Layla, and El Torito. And, of course, Fandango comes out as a new dance partner, and ends up being Hornswoggle. Yeah, it was that kind of match. So, Diego hits a dropkick. Hornswoggle gets on the apron for distraction. Fandango ends up going into him, knocking him off. Diego hits a backstabber. 1, 2, 3. So everyone dances in a circle around Fandango. And he shoves Hornswoggle down. And he gets whipped in by Diego to a seated senton off the top from Torito. And that's the end. God, I want them to do something with Fandango. I really hope the end game here is to do something with him. I do like seeing him do something with Primo, but take off the stupid Los Matadores gimmick. Get rid of it. Just do something or be done with it. I'm tired of this. I'm sick and tired of this. That's coming from a Fandango fan, obviously. Randy Orton, of course, had a little bit of issues on Twitter today, apparently, because of his supposed bullying. Says he can strike anytime, and he might just have to kick off the head of Roman Reigns. Okay. Bo Dallas gets a chance to get some redemption as he gets a rematch with R-Truth. This match may not happen at SummerSlam now, so maybe they're just going to blow it off before SummerSlam, and Bo Dallas will do something else at SummerSlam. But I still think that Bo Dallas and Truth could potentially be the kickoff match for SummerSlam. However, I'm not as positive as I once was. Truth hits a splash in the corner. He charges in. Bo makes him eat the back elbow. And he goes for a clothesline, the split-legged duck under, and the standing side kick from Truth, goes for the axe kick, and Bo goes out of the way. O'Connor roll with the tights, 1, 2, 3, and Bo is back in the win column again. After the match is over, he does a victory lap, and Truth does the crazy eyes and attacks Bo and sends him into the barricade, and then Bo ends up sending Truth into the ring steps and hits the swinging Bodog on the floor, laying out Truth. So yeah, that's the end of that. I like Bo Dallas. I hope they do more with this. We got our next match. It is your main event for Monday Night Raw. It is Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins, taking on Rob Van Dam in a Beat the Clock challenge match. And it looks like it's a foregone conclusion that Rollins is going to walk right over, because this match started with like 14 minutes left of Raw, even though it was an overrun, of course, because of the last segment. But still, it gave me a reason to believe that they were just going to run the clock out, and there's no way at all this was going to happen. That's when Justin Roberts dropped the bomb and said, by the order of the Authority, Rob Van Dam is not the opponent of Seth Rollins. The opponent will be this man. 3-man band's music hits, and here comes Heath Slater out to the ring. And immediately I tweet, and for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. I said, I think Slater wins this. #Raw. Well, we picked that up. So, Ambrose comes out midway through this very short match for a distraction. And Rollins splash misses, and Heath with a neck breaker, 1, 2, and a kick out. Crowd really got into Slater here, by the way. So the mounted punches by Rollins, and Ambrose grabs the briefcase as Seth slams Slater for a 2 count. He takes out the Money in the Bank contract, and he tears it into shreds. Like, literally, he tore it in half, he tore it again, and he ripped it up in a million pieces. This allowed a nice standing sidekick from Heath Slater, almost got the 3 right there. Ambrose grabs a soda from the ringside fan, and takes the soda as there's a cover on Slater by Rollins in the ring, 1, 2, and a kick out, and Ambrose dumps the soda in the briefcase after he opens it. Grabs a fan's popcorn, eats some, and this allows for punches in the corner by Rollins, and Ambrose dumps the popcorn in the briefcase on top of the soda. For someone that works in a movie theater, I definitely know how bad it smells for popcorn to be wet. Wet popcorn is one of the worst smells in the world, legitimately. So he takes JBL's hat, and he picks it up, and he wears it, and it makes me laugh. And then he takes the hat and puts it in, and slams the case shut. He stands on the table, holds the case up with the soda dripping out. Slater rolls him up and gets the 3 count. Heath Slater wins the main event on Monday Night Raw. How awesome. Rollins opens the case and dumps out all the contents out, and he throws a Johnny tantrum, and that's the end of that. So yes, I really like the way that they did a lot of things here. They really very well built up Ambrose and Rollins in the way that Ambrose came out and distracted Rollins, so he couldn't even beat someone not on his level, just like Heath Slater. Of course, I'm doing the quote marks for a reason. I like Heath Slater a lot. But yeah, this was a good match for what it was, and the right person went over, and I thought that exactly was going to be the end game, and I thought there was going to be an underdog beating somebody big before the night was over. I thought it was going to be Ryder over The Miz. It ended up being Heath Slater over Seth Rollins, so yeah, that was interesting. I have a feeling Slater is going to take a beating on SmackDown, unless they save it till Raw. I think that maybe Slater, tries to apologize on SmackDown, and the Authority say, you know what, show up on Raw and take your punishment like a man, and they just beat the daylights out of him. That's what I think may possibly happen. But yeah, I think it works really well, and it officially was announced that there would be Ambrose making the announcement of the stipulation for SummerSlam on SmackDown as well, so we'll find that out on Friday. Well, I will say right now what I'm thinking is probably going to happen. I think this match will be no holds barred. And I know what you're thinking, Owen, they should be doing a ladder match with a briefcase on the line. I think that happens at Night of Champions. I think that is a great way to happen at Night of Champions, because obviously this is when the WWE Network subscriptions are up. Most of them are up at Night of Champions. So if you decide to re-up, you can cancel or re-up at Night of Champions. So if you put a hardcore card of Night of Champions, it actually may go over pretty well. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So I would do the briefcase on the line at Night of Champions instead of SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam starts it, and Night of Champions could potentially continue it, and this could even go into Hell in a Cell and finish it. So I think that it doesn't go past October, is my guess. I think it goes 3 pay-per-views, and that's the end of it. It goes SummerSlam, Night of Champions, and Hell in a Cell. And by TLC, they both possibly could have moved on to something different and someone different. But that works for me. Final segment for the second week in a row is involving Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon, and this is their contract signing. Triple H, of course, can't be unbiased here, so he has Michael Cole authorize the proceedings. Brie said she's going to beat Stephanie, and she's going to embarrass her. She's going to send a message. You're nothing more than a fraud, a failure, an embarrassment to the McMahon family. And this is not just for me or my sister Nikki, or it's not for Daniel Bryan. No, it's for Vicky Guerrero, and it's for the Big Show, and it's for the Rhodes family, and every single member of the roster that you have terrorized throughout your reign, week after week. Karma always comes around. Signs the contract. Stephanie basically says that Brie is nothing but a wannabe reality star that is very selfish, and Stephanie is even embarrassed to be in the same ring with her. So she signs the contract, and she says, in her words, she's going to tear Brie's heart out. Strong words from Stephanie McMahon. So she nails Nikki, and then Hunter pushes the table, the table for the contract signing, with Brie in it, into the corner, so Brie is trapped. And Brie is forced to watch Nikki eat the pedigree from Stephanie. So Hunter, of course, is laughing and mocking the Daniel Bryan yes taunt, and of course, Brie turns it around and pushes the table into Hunter's midsection. Stephanie pulls her over the table, slams her face in the table, and thus pedigrees her, leaving her laying. So laid out both Bella twins and mocks the Daniel Bryan yes as we go home on Raw. It was okay. Good build-up for this, and there's not been a great build-up for women's matches in quite a long time in WWE. You have 2 great build-ups here. You have Stephanie and Brie, they're going to rip each other's hair out, and then you have Paige and AJ are going to try to end each other's careers. I think this is going to be really good if you're a women's wrestling fan in WWE for a SummerSlam card. These matches are a lot better than some of the garbage we've been seeing lately. And that's a good thing. It really is. And it was strong enough to carry the end segment, and that worked pretty well. What I recommend on this show, Roman Reigns and Kane, if you're a fan of both, sure. It was alright. I definitely recommend the Brock and Cena video package just to watch it, because it was on twice, so you didn't miss it if you missed it the one time. Ambrose and Del Rio put on a really good match. They went 15 minutes, bell to bell, really good stuff, very enjoyable. I really can't recommend much anymore. Jericho and Harper was way too short. Dolph and Cesaro was criminally short. And I don't want to see Goldust and Stardust against Ryback ever again. Diego and Fandango, I want them to end this, and I want Fandango to actually get up at the end of this feud and be better off for it. I hope that happens. Bo Dallas and Truth continue their feud. That was fine. Rollins and Heath Slater, yeah, definitely check that out. And if you're a fan of the angle, the last segment's alright. So yeah, that was Raw this week. And yeah, it was kind of a mixed bag, but then again, they're on cruise control as we lead into next week's Raw, which of course is the go-home show for SummerSlam, which is coming at you on the 17th, which is right after what I think is going to be our reveal week for Halloween Horror Nights. So, wrestling fans, you can join me tomorrow. We're going to talk a little TNA Impact Destination X. That's Wednesday's video. And Thursday, who knows what's going to happen? I may have something coming up. Who knows? Friday, actually, I'm going to flip it around on you guys. Friday is actually going to be Ashley's Popcaster from Across the Pond Gaming with Ash segment. And Saturday, we're going to do AJ's movie reviews. And here's the reason why. Now, there are 4 movies coming out this week. Obviously, we have 6 on each video. We can only watch Turtles on Thursday, so Turtles will be watched on Thursday, and there's nothing else playing with it. So, we have to watch Step Up All In and Into the Storm and 100-Foot Journey, so we have 3 movies to watch. So that's the reason why it will be super late when I got the video up on Friday, so I just thought I cut out the middleman and put it up on Saturday. Brand new Versus coming out, a Versus that's kind of near and dear to my heart for good reason, and the cryptic comment is choreography, so that's coming up. And more Halloween Horror Nights news. Your video for Alien vs. Predator is also coming up today, so stay tuned for that if you are a Halloween Horror Nights fanatic, like I know some of you out there are. And if you're a wrestling fan and a Halloween Horror Nights fanatic, check out my video from Saturday. All I ever needed to know about Halloween Horror Nights 24, I learned from watching professional wrestling. And that is a fun little video that I did on Saturday. Check that out if you had a chance to. As always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, like our Facebook fan page, go to Facebook, click like on that Facebook fan page. It's Sir Owen Disney Pop. And if you'd like to send me a friend request on Facebook, old school style, it's Owen Disney. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, I know a lot of you have out there, and I truly appreciate a lot of my brand new Twitter followers. And obviously, I am Team Stella for Face Off this season. And she is awesome. She follows me on Twitter. And you can too if you go to Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. Last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk SummerSlam with me, WWE in general, TNA in general. You want to talk Disney in general, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights. Or you would like to ask me questions. I can answer anything you'd like, but I probably won't do it on here. I can just leave you a comment otherwise. Or if you become a popcaster yourself, you can send your videos, all your submissions to SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.